Hello and welcome to the Alpha Movement Podcast. My name is Tom Foxley and you're listening to series number 2, which I'm kind of naming the Mindset RX series. Today, we're lucky enough to be joined by Laura Faulkner, who is a great athlete who I first watched train probably 2.5, 3 years ago, and I was impressed by the way she trained, the way she approached training, and because of that, I decided to have her on the show. She is someone who's going to be hopefully hitting regionals this year. She's doing really well in the Open at the moment, so fingers crossed. And I thought I would kind of give you an insight into what makes someone competitive at that level. She's the main reason I wanted Laura on the show is because she's been through a few, especially last year in the Open, super hard to kind of getting through it, coming back from illness, loads of hardship to push through, and that's what I want to kind of highlight in what she's done in this interview. So as always, please reach out to us if you enjoy the show and all that kind of jazz. Subscribe, blah 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 blah. I don't want to bore you with that. So here is Laura Faulkner. So Laura, a proper official welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, great, good. Thanks. Happy to be.
Good. I'm going to start this off the same way actually that I started off with Chris Beeler, because both of you, I looked at your 17.1 scores and I was like, holy shit, that's pretty impressive. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good workout. I instantly saw it. So like, obviously the Open is this like massive thing, which everyone has this big like anxiety over. Like we train all year round for this. And so obviously this is like to put everything we've done in the last year to the test. So it's obviously a big anxiety around it. But I looked at the workout, I got up in the morning. Like the previous years, I've literally been like led in bed and got my phone out straight away and been like, I need to know the workout. Like I haven't even woken up. But like this year, like obviously it's only been the first one, but I like woke up, got myself a coffee, like got my laptop out and looked at it like a bit more, with a bit more of a decent head on, rather than like straight away like, bang, I need to see it. So already I was just a bit more chilled out about it. But I looked at it straight away and was like, that looks fun. My first thought was, shit, that's a lot of reps. Like straight away, I was like, that's a lot of reps. And it's going to be quick as well. So I instantly looked at it and was like, the pain is going to be real. And it was.
Yeah. What was the, what do you reckon sparked that change in between like getting up, checking your phone straight away, and then like this year being a bit more chilled out about it?
I think I'm better rounded as an athlete now. So I used to sort of look at things and I had like some big gaps in my game, like big weaknesses. And whereas now I'm more rounded, so there's nothing I feel like that's going to come up that I'm going to be like, one, I can't do, and two, that I won't be able to do to some kind of decent level. Okay. Yeah, so I think maybe that I'm just a bit more, I'm trying to be a bit more relaxed. Like I'm naturally a bit of a hothead, and that's just like how I am. So I know it's something I'm working on. So I am trying to just be a bit more relaxed and chilled, and got influences from all different places, but I am trying to be a bit more chilled.
Okay. How did you go about breaking the reps down? Because obviously you mentioned this a lot. Was there any kind of, for example, Chris said he broke down to 5 sets, and then each one was like he broke down right hand and left hand, right hand and left hand. So
okay, so I looked at it as in like it was 5 rounds. So I wanted just to work through it round by round. But to be honest, it's probably the one Open workout which I've least like had a game plan for. I just thought I just need to start moving fast and keep moving and try and keep moving until it's done. My game plan was to go out a bit faster than I thought I should do, and then try and hold that pace for as long as I could. I didn't stop at all, so I didn't break up the reps. I didn't stop during the dumbbell snatches. In the set of 50, I thought I would probably want to, but actually I was like, I'm nearly done by now, so just fucking keep going.
Yeah, you might as well by that point.
Yeah, but then it's like that thing that I finished on Saturday, and rarely do I finish an open workout and be like, I'm happy with that. But I finished and was like, I'm happy with my time. I think that was a decent time. And I'm still happy with my time now, even after seeing obviously the whole scores. But then you just see some, like Europe is such a strong region, especially for the women, and see these like crazy times, like 9-minute stuff going up, and you're thinking like, why can I do that? And I'm always like, it's self-critical in that sense of being like, well, if they can do that, I should be able to do that. And then try and think around ways of how I'm going to be able to do that. but it was one of those ones where it was brutal and it did like rip you apart a bit. So I did try and repeat on Monday, and I was, obviously this workout had really nice splits, so you could see exactly where you were throughout the workout. And I said to who was judging me, if I'm behind at any point, then stop me. If I'm not ahead at least by 10 seconds, stop me, because I don't want to do the whole reps. Like the last 50 snatches, that if I do that for no reason, then that's going to have quite an impact on my training for the rest of the week. And I tried again. I did the 40 snatches, the 15 burpees, and I was like 8 seconds behind my split. So I just pulled the plug. I thought there's no point in continuing. Yeah. And it hit me so much harder than the first time as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think I put everything in the first time, and it might not have been the best score in Europe, but it was the best I had, and I'm happy with that.
Good stuff. Feel free to pass on this, like any question that's going to go up. But you mentioned having some outside influences to kind of cool you down. If you want to pass, that's absolutely fine, and we can move on to the next thing. But
no, that's fine.
Okay.
I can answer that. So one, there's probably two that are massive. So one is Alec Carwood, who's my boyfriend. He's probably the complete opposite character to me, in the sense that he is much more relaxed and chilled out, and he's the one saying, Laura, just like stop what you're doing and just calm the fuck down. And also Paul Warrior, he's my coach. He again is quite similar in the sense of being like, he uses this phrase of like stay in your own lane, which I really love, because it was exactly what it says on the tin, like just focus on what you're doing, don't worry about what's going on around you. And just by taking that one small bit of helpful information, that has really helped me massively, because we're all massive sort of culprits of leaderboarding, wondering what everyone else is doing. Like the world of social media nowadays, like you're looking at what someone else is doing and thinking, oh my God, I can't do that, or I should be doing that, or I should be doing it faster, or I should be lifting more weight. So you're constantly second guessing yourself, constantly. And I think with the whole stay in your own lane thing, that has stopped me. I'm not saying I'm 100% and I never see what other people are doing and feel like, oh my God, I should be doing that. But I believe in my training that I'm doing. So I'm 100% trust it. I trust Paul with what he's doing, and I just feel a bit more confident in the sense of being like, no, like I'm good. I'm going to be fine. I just need to do my own thing and let everyone else do theirs.
Yeah, I was about to say, you seem a lot more confident this year. It's really good to see. Have you ever tried anything like meditation or anything kind of mindset-y like that, or anything like that? I
have, yeah. So again, this is from Alec. He got the Headspace app. Yeah. And I did a bit of it, but again, it kind of made me feel really shit, because I'd like put it on and it would be telling me to like, obviously like relax and like think about how all the bits of your body felt, and I could do that, and then within like 30 seconds I'm like, oh, what was I snatching yesterday, like what was this percentage, what was this, and what am I doing tomorrow, my back squatting, and I'm like, I want to do pull-ups, I want to do muscle-ups, and then I'm like thinking about all these things, and then it's the whole point of that is to like, for me not to be thinking about those things, and then I'm like, oh, I can't do this, and I like to win shit, like I want to win everything. Even if that's not possible, like, I at least want to try and win everything. So even just like small little mental wins like that, I'm like, fuck, so I didn't do that. I can't do this. I can't even do Headspace, which is an app. I lost at Headspace. So I have tried, and it's something that I do want to continue to try, and try different things. But yeah, so I'm not a massive...
Yeah, it's they completely depend, to be honest, on where you are in the mindset at the time of trying them. Like they are for some people and they aren't for other people, depending on like which kind of mindset model you're in. But what's your why at the moment? Why are you training?
Because I love it. Like that's a really simple thing for me to answer. I absolutely love it. So I'm still in a full-time job. I'm an administrator at university, so I have like a really normal office job where I sit at a computer all day and do this, which I don't love, but hopefully one day some things will change for me and I'll be able to train more. But to be honest, it works for me quite well at the moment, because I go to work, like I work 8 till 4:30, and then as soon as I step in the gym, I'm like, bam, like I'm here to train now. Like I know some people that are in the gym a lot of hours during the day and they've got classes and PTs, and by the time it comes to train, like their motivation is pretty low, and they're like, oh, now I've got to motivate myself to train. I rarely feel like I have to motivate myself to train. I feel like that motivation is, I'm a very hungry person, like, in more than one sense, but I'm always hungry and like, I want to do the best I can. I don't really know what that is all the time, but I know I want to do it and I want to find out what that is. So,
do you have a clear objective? Is it like I'm working towards X, or like whatever position at the regionals or the games or anything like that?
So I think definitely like one day I want to get to the games. Like I used to not really believe that statement when I said it and be like, well, I can't, because all of these girls that I've got to compete against, which is true. Like the girls that I have to compete against are like fucking insane. It's mental in there. It's like, but I'm still young. Like I've had a lot of experience in CrossFit. I started when I was 19, so now I'm 24, so I've been doing it for 5 years already, and I'm still really young. So I've got to, and also, like, if you don't believe it yourself, then it's never going to happen. So like, why not? Like, why couldn't I? So it's one of those things that, yeah, I'm definitely going to work towards it. I think short-term goals is in the now. There's kind of the stigma, like once you've qualified for regionals, then you're a regionals athlete, and that's it then. And then if you then don't qualify again year upon year, it's kind of, you feel like shit. And obviously, because, so anyone that's been to regional team, or I've had a few years of experience in team and individual, so I'm really lucky in that sense, and I always am thankful for that. But sorry, my computer was telling me my Wi-Fi was bad, but it's fine.
Mine is too. It's fine.
Okay, it's still there. We're still talking. So regional sense, it's like you're in your mind, you're like, well, I have to go because I've been every year. And I don't know if you know, but last year I was really sick. I got swine flu in February.
Nice.
It was literally the worst experience of my entire life. So we basically went to, I feel like people that are tuned in now might be like, oh, here she goes again, fucking banging on about it. But it was a significant point in my life, to be honest, that when it sort of happened, I was like so ill, I didn't even care. I was like, I couldn't care less about training. Like, I just want to die. I feel so awful. And we were at the Best of British camp up at JST. Mm-hmm. So we were training for I think it was a 3-day camp, and we were training like 3 times a day, and we were like, all of us were just smashing ourselves like in these workouts. But because we were like compete against each other, we were like just really going for it. So I was putting everything out on the table. I'm happy to admit that. And I'm not used to the volume of training that we were doing too, because I sit in an office at a desk for 8 hours a day, and then suddenly I was training 3 times a day for a couple of days, and I was obviously had this illness in me dormant as well. So and I literally was driving home from Manchester, which back to Bath, quite a long way, so it's like a good 4 hours, and I got home and it was literally as if someone pulled the plug out the back of me. Like, I was just like, boom, gone. I had this horrendous headache, like nothing I can ever sort of describe. And I just felt so awful. I was like, this is not good. And then the weeks went by, and I just wasn't getting any better at all. And I was pretty much like housebound for a good like 4 weeks, which for me was just like awful. And obviously the time of year it was, and it was getting closer and closer to the Open. So I was just starting to shit myself, being like, why the hell is this happening to me? Like, it's really unfair. Why is it me? Like, I just don't get it. And then I was like, I was going in and back to the doctors, and I was like, you have to make me better. Like, you have to make me better. I've got to be better for this. And they were like, you're going to be like this for 6 weeks. Like, don't do anything, because if you go and do anything, which I couldn't at the point, I was like, I could barely get myself to the doctors, let alone train. But I was just, all I could think of was like, what can I do to make myself better? I could barely eat because I felt so, it was just awful. Like, I had my flu vaccination this year, so I cannot get it again. But yeah, so I was really sick. And then I was sick all the way up until the beginning of the Open. So that was about 6 weeks. I did no training at all, literally at home. And then 16.1 comes out, and I was looking at it like, fuck, that would have been a really good workout for me. That was my initial thought. And then I was like, I'm just going to wait. And hopefully I'll be feeling like I can at least go into the gym and just try and do it. Which I did, and it was a stupid mistake I shouldn't have done, and I shouldn't have done any of the qualifiers. I should have just said, no, I'm too ill, but I did, and I've actually watched some of my videos back recently, and I just look like the shell of a person I am. Like, I'm just grey, and it's horrible. But I did 16.1, which probably was the kind of worst workout, like a 20-minute slog. And I literally laid on my back when I finished and cried for about 45 minutes because I knew then it was gonna. I automatically was like, it's over. I'm not going back to regionals, because I finished 126th in that workout. I did it on the Monday right at the end because I had to do it and for myself, but it's pathetic now. I feel stupid, but at that point in my life, I was like, I need to do this. Like, this is the be all and end all for me. And I've learnt my lesson the hard way. So yeah, and after then I did all the qualifiers. So I didn't actually qualify in the top 30, but I think I came like 34th or 36th. So then I got an invite, which I kind of felt like I'd given my individual invite up for team like 2 or 3 times previously. So I was like, I kind of feel like I'm owed one of them back. So I was like, yeah, cool. Went to regionals. I was so run down and like not in a good shape and not in a good way and all of that shit. But yeah, I wasn't in the best position to be going into regionals at all. I had a bit of a wrist injury as well, which I'd picked up from probably training when I was sick. So my body was just trashed. So that I did the first day, which was cool. I really enjoyed the snatch ladder. Didn't perform as well as I wanted to or should have done, but that was because I hadn't snatched for like 8 weeks. So not ideal going into a snatch event. But I tried my best, so that's all you can do. I went into that with the mindset of being like really, there's no way I should be on this floor. So I need to like enjoy every single second. And I really appreciate the fact that like not everybody gets to go to regionals and know what it feels like to stand in that stadium. So I really like try and be present in the moment in that time to be like, this is fucking cool. Like, look at all of these people. And like, really, like, I'm just a really normal person that has a normal job and a normal life. And I just do CrossFit because I enjoy it. So still now for like all of these people that like follow me on Instagram and like, you like really inspire me to go to the gym and like do stuff. And I'm like, that is so cool. Like I would never have thought I'd have that impact on people. So taking a bit of a U-turn, but I really want to try and use that as much as I can to help other people sort of do something cool with their life, because that's all this is. Like, it's got so big and so serious, but we all just do it because we like doing it. So it's I don't really think it's nothing more, nothing less. Like, it's what you make of it.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think the illness taught you?
Like I said, it was a huge point in my life, and at the stage when it was happening, I didn't know. But definitely a year down the line, I can now look at it and think, like, wow, I really learned a lot about myself. I learned that I am fucking headstrong, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this, like, even if it kills me, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna try my absolute hardest. And I did, and like through the opens and all of the qualifiers, I just like went for. And I think actually the fact that I was like so low down on the leaderboard, that actually made me, I mean, I performed to the best I could at that stage, but where I was like, I've got to climb. So I need to do something. I need to pull something out of the bag. And in a way that's given me huge confidence to think, well, I could do it then. So why can't I perform like when I'm well? But obviously it doesn't always work that way. And this year already the Open's weird because we've had like this weird extension and it's all gone crazy, and like people are redoing the workout on like Tuesday and Wednesday. like that's never happened before. So we're all in this kind of like unknown territory of being like, what the hell's going on? And it's something that actually, it hasn't really sat that well with me, people repeating on Tuesdays and Wednesday, because I'm like, well, it's not really the rules, but I do agree with people saying, well, everyone's in the same boat. But I also think, but the deadline was Monday. So you shouldn't. And also, if your score was like locked into the leaderboard and that was that, and your like affiliate had verified it, then why do it again? And I just feel like maybe those people probably couldn't have put in their best performance on their first go without knowing other people's scores. So, I mean, at regionals and competitions, you don't get the chance to do the workout twice if you fuck up. So I'm not saying I've never repeated a workout. Like I said earlier, I tried to repeat it and tried to do better on Monday. But like in a normal situation, like you wouldn't get that opportunity. So I just think why sort of pretend? I mean, it's just a weird situation that we're in, but I'm really glad that it's shut now, because I feel like I posted on Facebook earlier. I was like, I feel like 17.1 has been going on for about 25 years.
Oh, definitely.
I'm like so done with 17.1 now.
What goes through your heads, like in the let's say the hour before, actually no, the few seconds before a workout? What's going through your head right now?
To be honest with you, like I generally think like that's the time when I switch off the most. Okay. And not much goes through my head. I'm just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to enjoy it. I think with workouts, I know some people, everyone's different, but like when I'm doing a workout, especially if I'm at a competition, I really don't know what's going on around me. I used to be pretty bad at like, you know, when you're like staring down the lane next to you and be like, what's she doing? Where's she going? And how many reps have they done? Like, are they nearly done? Are they nearly finished? And I used to be really bad in that sense. I am trying to be better in the sense of being like, it's me, and I can only, like, I know this is something that people always say, but you cannot control what other people do. So why try and waste your energy on thinking about what they're doing? And like I said, please, I am not the best at this, and I'm saying this as if I'm like preaching to people and saying this is the way you should be, but like this is the way that I want to be, and I want to be like 100% thinking about what I'm doing, not what other people are doing.
Exactly.
So sorry, I am answering your questions.
No,
just get off on a huge tangent.
Tangent's cool. That's how I roll. And what about when like the intensity hits and you're kind of in the pain cave? What's going through your head then? I tend to like really think about like which parts of my body are starting to break down, and then try and be like, no, you're fine. Like this has happened so many times in training. Like the amount of times in training this year that I've like literally cried real tears because I've been in so much pain, not as in like injury pain, just as in like I hurt so much from this stimulus of this workout. And like when you train to that point, like that's what we're training for. We're training to feel that way. So I'm like, I felt worse than this. Like I can always, when I'm hurting in a workout, I can normally think, well, I hurt more when I did this, so this is fine. Where does that drive come from?
I honestly think I'm just naturally competitive. So when I was a kid, I did, when I was like really young, I did kickboxing when I was tiny. So I used to, there was a boy in school that used to like try and like bully me and like push me around a bit, because I'm really small now. I'm only 5 foot. And at school, I was so tiny. I was always the smallest little person. And yeah, this boy was a bit of a bully and tried to push me around a bit. So my mum was like, you're going to kickboxing. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went to kickboxing, I absolutely loved it. And we had like all the sparring kit, and we just used to like, basically there's like little 5-year-olds just kicking the shit out of each other. But I love doing that. And I think, and I remember we used to do like, what's the exercise when you like lean up against the wall and like sit in like a chair position?
Oh yeah, like a wall squat hold.
Or like a wall squat hold. And I remember being like literally like 6-7 years old and like holding this wall squat hold and being like, this burn is fucking cool. Like, I really like it. I think I've always had that kind of like competitive edge, and I've always want to be better than the person next to me. Which is not always a good thing. But yeah, and then I went on to ride horses competitively. So, and again, me and my sister both rode horses, and we're both of us are so competitive. So we pushed each other like every time. My dad used to take us off to shows, and I'd come back with a trophy, and my sister would come like third, and we'd be like feuding in the lorry on the way home. But yeah, I think that's where it's all come from. Like, it's from a really young age. I think I went to a school where I did athletics, and like we did, the highlight of my year was like English schools when we went down, and just I did 1500, 800, 200 relay, like long jump, as many of the exercises that Miss Bacon, who was our teacher, would let me do. Literally, I'd be like, can I do all of them? Because I love this. And like that, especially on like the 1500, 800, like that burn I would get in my lungs, I'd be like, this is so cool. Like, and other kids at school would be like, I hate PE, like it's cold. And I'll be like, get me outside. I love it. Like in the mud. But yeah, I think I've always been competitive, and sport has always been like a massive part of me. And I really don't, I mean, if it wasn't CrossFit, it would be something else. So like, and that's obviously when I found CrossFit, I found weightlifting, which I love as well. So that has taken me down a different route.
Yeah. Because like I want to come to weightlifting anyway. What's the like, again, the 3-4 seconds before you lift? What's going through them?
Lots of different things. I think weightlifting is so different to CrossFit, in the sense of there's no margin for error. Well, there's like 3 margins for error. You have 3 lifts, and like if you fuck that up, basically like that could be a lot of what you've been training for to go down the drain. And I have a lot of respect for weightlifters since working like within weightlifting, in the sense that they are just like proper troopers. Like weightlifting training, CrossFit training is really hard, but weightlifting, like it batters you and everything hurts, and it's not necessarily like, I would say CrossFit is really fun. Like we get to like swing ourselves around on bars and rings, and it's really good fun. But weightlifting sometimes like isn't that fun when you're just doing pulls and like squats and day after day, because it's not like in our training when like I will snatch once a week and I'll clean and jerk once a week and pull once a week and squat maybe twice, whereas they do that like every day. So it's really repetitive. And the weight categories, like I was always quite lucky because I lifted in under 53s, which then I'm now over that. I'm about 55, 56 kilos. But when I was lifting more regularly, I was always under 53. So I was always like 51 kilos. So I was really lucky in that sense. We went to a training camp in Barcelona, which I was really lucky to go to and be invited to. So it was a whole like world-class program. So that was like Zoe Smith, Mercy Brown, Sarah Davies, Emily Godley, all Norrin, who was also a 53 lifter. We got invited onto the camp because we weren't actually on the world-class program, and we got invited to Barcelona, which was like, I was like, literally my life can't get any better than this.
Nice.
And then we went there, and we were as like an Olympic training facility. So I mean, I would sit in an office like Monday to Friday, and then the next week I was in Barcelona lifting an Olympic like weightlifting facility. Cool. And I was like, this is so cool. And we did a competition at the end of the week, which was on the platform that was used at the Barcelona Olympics.
Nice. That's
and
awesome.
I was like, this is so cool. So yeah, I'm really lucky in the sense of it's actually really easy to forget like some of the experiences that you've had, which I'm really lucky to have had.
No, definitely. Yeah. Who's the first person you think of when you think of a mindset or an athlete with a great mindset?
I think Sam Briggs always comes back to me here. Like I know Sam quite well. Obviously, she's been around for a long time, and I remember the first competition that I did, and it was the Battle of London. I think it was called the Battle of London then, and it was at Brunel University. And she was like, you need to eat more food, like you're too skinny. And I remember her telling me that. But since then, like I've become really friendly with her and see her quite a lot, and her mind frame and just how she's so relaxed. And if you see her before work, like before any competitions and workouts, she literally just stands there with her eyes shut, and I like the fact that like no one knows what she's thinking then. Like that's like private, and I almost hope that she never shares with people like what she's thinking then. But she's so in control. Like you can tell she's like, I'm so in control of this. Like whatever's going to happen now, it's all down to me. And and then obviously she goes and like smashes everything. And I think obviously she's like known as the engine. She's got this crazy engine that she can just keep going, keep moving. But that's definitely her mental capacity like allows her to do that, because she's still human. Like, you're still going to hurt at some point, but she can just keep pushing through that hurt. And if we could all train ourselves to do that, we'd all be a lot better athletes, I'm sure.
What do you think makes a great athlete?
Lots of different things. I think it's definitely the whole like nature, like nurture debate of whether you're born with talent or you create talent with what you've got. I think it's definitely a mixture of both. But I think attitude is such a big thing. To be honest, I think maybe definitely the first couple of years when I was properly into CrossFit, as in competing, like not when I just started. But I think I had a really bad attitude, and that made me not be such a good athlete, in the sense of not a bad attitude like I thought I was better and above everyone else, but I think my attitude to training is just so different now. I was just quite negative in the sense of being like, oh, like this is hard, this is tough, whereas like no one's fucking got a gun to my head and forcing me to be in the gym. Like, it's all my own choice. So if you want to be better, like, you have to do that yourself. Like, no one's just going to be like, here you go, you can have that for free. So like, you've got to work hard. And I think even like now when I get into the gym, so I finish work at 4:30, I literally go home, get changed, get straight in the gym, and train for like 3 hours and get all my accessory work done. But that's because like I want to do that, because I want to get better. And I still think sometimes it's when people say like, why, like you asked me why earlier, and it is because I enjoy it. But there's not like a specific thing. Like, I'm not training because like I obviously would love to get to the games one day, but that's not my main feat of why I train every day. Like, I train every day because I like the way it makes me feel. I like the fact that it makes me feel strong, and I've never had that feeling before where I'm like, I can do that, and like look at someone doing like a heavy clean jerk, and I'm like, I can put that weight over my head. And that's a really powerful feeling, especially for a woman, I think, as well. And I love what CrossFit has done for women in sport. And for me, that is a massive thing. I'm just like, and little girls that come, we've got a CrossFit Kids class, and one of the mums came up to me the other day, and she was like, my daughter thinks you're amazing, she loves you. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like, she looks up to me like to do sport, and that is really cool. Like, no matter what sport like that particular little girl wants to go into, like she might not have done that before, and for me that is just so powerful, like that we can help the generation below us like do something pretty cool with their lives. Because like our generation especially, like you see just people just wasting away, and it makes me sad to be like, but you could be doing stuff that's really cool. And say going on to CrossFit, having like a bad rep, and I really hate that, because I'm like, I've seen it change people's lives, like never in a negative way. Never once have I seen it change someone's life in a bad way. Only good, like really good as well. So that kind of angers me.
Yeah. That driver of you mentioned like you don't really have a why. Like I always say it's who you want to become. It's the person you want to be. Like the people forget they think it's the what, how, and then they think why is the last bit, but it's who. And like in terms of your mindset there, like it's definitely who you want to be.
Yeah, and I think not only does it training changes your body physically, obviously, but mentally, training has helped me through like lots of things in life. And we all have like, no one's perfect, no one's got everything right. And I completely admit that, like, I have not got everything sussed at all. And there's so many things more that I need to learn and get right. And you've just kind of got to play the game and like go along with it and see what happens. But I love what training does for me. And I think that everyone should do some kind of training in some capacity, just purely for what it does for you mentally. And you can do so much. And I think that's so cool. Like, I'm always like, I can push my body to a point where I'm like, that's so cool. I never thought I'd be able to do that. Like even last night, I was like, I had like 3 1-mile repeats at like a pretty fast pace, as fast as I could go. And it was like piercing it down with rain. And I was running down like Moreland Road, which is like a local street to us, which has got like loads of shops in it. And there's like people coming out with like fish and chips and like pizza and like walking past me. And I'm like, I can like smell it as I'm running past. But there's not one part of me which would have wanted to be on the other side of that. Mm-hmm. Like, I just love the way it makes me feel. And after training, like obviously you get those endorphins, which are like is all like the scientific part of it. But the way you feel like when you walk out the gym, I'm like, that's so cool. Like think about what you've achieved. And actually, when I always write my training down in it's just like a blank book, but I'm always writing everything down. And my notes to myself that I read back sometimes, I'm just like, what was I going on about? I'm like, this was fucking hard. This is too hard. Or like, love this. And I love seeing my little points because it sort of takes me back to how I felt in that session. But I can always do that. Like I can always get straight back into how I felt then.
Okay.
And I love to look back when I finish a training diary to like flick back through like all of those pages. And you're like, I've done all of that training, like over the last 5 years, all the training I've done. And I think that's pretty incredible to like, be like, that's your book of like what you've done in your life. And it's not like to show off to other people and be like, this is what I've done. This is what I've done. I've achieved this. I've gone here. But like, it's just for you to know and you to be like, that's really fucking cool. I've done that.
Yeah, no, it's like journaling in kind of day-to-day life. It's exactly the same. It gives you as you said, like a snapshot of the way you're feeling at that time. And it's amazing to look back through and go like, that's how you were.
It's a good outlet as well to be like, I think writing down things, and that's something that Alec told me. So like after I was ill last year, I went through a pretty bad mental like stage and I was not good at all. Like I think and then when I went to regionals, like I basically had a really bad experience with a judge and my regionals was cut short. And after all of what had happened throughout the year, it was just a massive head fuck. Like it really, really head fucked me. And I came off the floor after I basically was capped, and I came off the floor and I was just, it was all a bit of a, you know, like in films where you see people, like if something really bad happens and everything's just a bit hazy, and I didn't really know whether it had really just happened or whether it was just like a really bad dream. And I was like, this can't have happened. Like after the whole year, and then I actually got here, which was like against all odds, I actually got here, and now this has happened. And I was just like, and to be honest with you, right then I was ready to completely give up and be like, fuck this. Why am I doing this to myself? I felt so down. I had no confidence in my ability. I was like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here anyway. And now I'm here. I didn't ever really think, I've made a fool out of myself, which is weird because I was in an arena of like however many thousand people on the regional stage, capped in a workout, and then told that I couldn't continue in front of all these people, which like are obviously looking at the athletes thinking, they're pretty good athletes, that's why they're here. And I obviously wasn't. But so that's kind of a hard thing for me to deal with. And when you kind of put all your eggs in one basket, which we kind of do as regional athletes, and then it all goes tits up, you've got nothing to fall back on. And I won't make that mistake again of making it my everything, in the sense of like me and Alec now, we're like in the process of buying a house. Like we've got really cool things happening in our lives, and I love training. I would never stop training. And I want to get back to regionals, and I want to go to the games one day, and there's loads of things that I want to achieve, but there are other things as well. Like it's not, if you fail a lifting training or you don't make something you want to make, like make sure you have something to look back on and be like, yeah, but I have really cool friends, and like, I have a really nice family who are always looking out for me. And I think that's really important to have those things that you can fall back on and as your safety net, because when something like that happens, like it did to me at regionals, something that was out of my control as well. So I basically got capped on the wall ball workout for depth in my squat, which something for me is probably like one thing that I probably have never struggled with, like depth in the squat. It was really baffling at the time, and I was really confused about why I was getting no reps, and I couldn't correct it because I was already doing it.
Yeah.
But it was just a bit of a struggle, and after that whole thing, I was just like, well, what do I go away and do? Like, do I go away and like take a bit of time off? And which I did do, and I think that helped me massively. But I think my point is, I'm rambling on about my experience, but I think the point is that if something happens to you like that, and you're just a bit like, oh my God, I've worked so hard for this, and now it's just all gone up in smoke. I think you need to like really just look at things and be like, oh, but like, I didn't die, and someone I love didn't die. Like, it's okay. And it's okay to like fuck up and make mistakes, as long as you learn from them and then go, like, I've come back so much hungrier now, and I won't make that mistake again of being like, just acting the way I did as well after it happened. I was really angry and blamed everything, and blamed the judge, and blamed me being ill, and blamed everything. But like, in reality, like, it was only, again, like, I am the only one that controls what I do. So therefore I'm responsible for that. And I was responsible for that. But at the time it was really hard to admit that. But I think now I've totally got my head around it, and if it was to happen again, like, because it might, there's no things, I think I would deal with it in a very different way. But that experience has molded me as an athlete, definitely.
No, I love that it's given you that perspective. It's great to see that you've just kind of taken a step back and gone, okay, like, this is the situation for what it really is, rather than like, obviously in the moment you're wrapped up in it and just like, it is everything. What was the conversation with Alec like after that?
Oh, at regionals?
Yeah.
Obviously, so Alec was competing as well. So for him, and I think he actually was so in the athlete area, there's like a big TV, which is like live stream of the arena. Yeah. So I think he knew already what had happened before he saw me, which, I mean, I just couldn't put myself in his shoes. If that was him that had just had that happen to him, like, I mean, how do you console somebody when that happens? Like, what do you say? And he didn't need to say anything to me, to be honest. I knew he was like, I'm here for you. Just go and do your own thing. Like, get out of this arena. Get out. Because I just didn't really want to see anybody, because I didn't want to talk about it. I was embarrassed isn't the word, but I just wanted to like act like it never happened and just be like, can I just enjoy this weekend now? Like, I've had such a shitty year, and I was like, I just wanted to enjoy this weekend, and now like that privilege has been taken away too. So it was just kind of a non-starter from the beginning. But yeah, he's great with me, to be fair, because I can be really difficult, and I am a bit of a hothead, and I know I'm like that. But yeah, he deals with me pretty well. He's very patient. So thanks, Al.
It's a yin and yang thing. It's awesome.
Shout out to Al.
How do you maintain consistency? Because I'm guessing, despite your love for training and the fact that you really do feel good, and you're one of the few people I think I speak to is like, yeah, I fucking love that feeling. I really, really love that feeling. I'm sure you get days that you're like, I don't actually fancy training, but you still want to get to or be that person. So how do you maintain that then? So
definitely, I mean, especially like I don't know if you work in an office, or you have at some point, but I think there's a lot of people hopefully listen that will relate to this. There's like this 3 o'clock lull at work when you're like, oh my God, especially because I'm eating a lot at the moment as well. So I like, as soon as I eat a lot of food, my body's like, shut down. You need to digest this food. You're not allowed to do anything else. And in the afternoon, where I'm literally like, I'll look at I'm constantly looking at my program, and like all day at work, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's going to be so cool. And then like by the afternoon, I'm like, I cannot envisage myself doing like, I don't know, like 90 kilo cleans tonight. I literally can't see that happening, because I'm sat there like a robot thinking, how the hell am I going to do that? But And I do, and I leave work and I'm like driving home, like with my eyes like all droopy. I'm like trying to drink some coffee and like, but as soon as I get home and like get my food in me and get to the gym, I'm like, no, this is cool. Like I feel like as soon as I step foot in the gym, I'm like, right, I'm going to do this. Like, this is fine now. Don't get me wrong. There are days where even I go into the gym and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm too tired. I can't do this. But I think at the end of the day, like if you do feel like that, just, you either push through and work for something because you want it, or you don't and risk not doing what you want to be able to do. So there's literally two options. And I always say to people, like, if they're moaning about training and like, oh, I've got all this programming, blah, 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 like, don't do it then. Like like I said, no one's got a gun to your head. You don't have to, like, no one's forcing you. And I think this is what's funny about all these repeats as well. Obviously, like people that are repeating the first workout because they want to go to regionals, and that's fair enough. I kind of get that. I don't agree with it as such, but I do get it. But the people sort of that are in the like lower down the leaderboard and their ambition is to not get to regionals and it's just to do the best they can. Like when they're like, oh, I've got to redo this workout. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Not at all. Just enjoy it the first time round. Like put in the best effort. Like there's no pressure. I think pressure can be a really good thing and a really bad thing. It depends like how much and how you put it onto yourself. And other people shouldn't be putting pressure on you. I think that's the point. Like you can put pressure on yourself, but other people shouldn't be pressuring you and be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's where you need to turn around and be like, no, because I don't want to do that. Like you're in control. And I think, like I said, I've been working with Paul Warrior and he's now my coach, which I've really learned a lot, to be honest, about myself and how I mentally prepare myself for training and just like generally just like being less of a twat.
Is there anything that he's really passed on? Sorry to interrupt.
Probably be less of a twat. He never turned around to me and be like, oh, sure, you're a twat. And to be honest, like I know that he wouldn't have like agreed to work with me because I know that he's quite selective in who he works with, and he will only work with people if he knows that he's going to get on with them, and he knows what he wants, and I really sort of respect that. And yeah, I think I've learned that I need to trust in my own ability much more, which I have started to do. Like I used to look at some of the workouts, especially when I first started with this programming. I'd look and be like, there's no way I can do that. I wouldn't necessarily voice it, but I'd look at it and be like, I can't do that. Like I did a wave of like with some clean EMONs, and they like went up in weight, and with like a shitload of wall balls, a shitload of pull-ups, like all on the minute. And I'd look at the reps and be like, I can't do that. I can't do 85 kilo cleans, like 4 reps on the minute. I can't do that. But then I would like do it, and actually like, yeah, I would literally drag my ass through it. But I actually could do it sometimes. Like some days I couldn't, which was also a good lesson to be like, well, I really want to be able to do that. So how can I make myself be able to do that? And then some days when I could do it, I was like, shit, maybe I just need to believe in myself a little bit more. But yeah, he helps me stay pretty chilled in a good way, not like too chilled out as in like, oh, it's fine, everything's fine. I don't care if I'm like 80th going into week 5 of the Open. Like, yeah, he's really helped me screw my head on and find that love for training again.
Cool. That's awesome. That's really good. Cool. What's the first 90 minutes of your day look like?
90 minutes? Yeah. To be honest, I am so bad at getting out of bed. Like I have to because I'm an adult and I have a job, so I have to get out of bed, which really sucks. I like the way you're persuading yourself that you're an adult. Yeah, I'm really trying to be an adult. I'm 24, so I feel like I should probably try now. But yeah, so I'm one of those horrible people that snooze like 5 times. And when Al doesn't have to get out of bed before me, he's like, I can tell he's so good because he doesn't even moan, but I can tell he's like, turn off that fucking alarm. And I'm there like snooze. So I get up straight away. make breakfast, because as soon as my eyes are open, I swear that's the only thing that makes me get out of bed. So I'm like, I can eat, I'll get out of bed. And then just like get ready for work. I'm pretty set in my ways, as in routines. Like I pretty much do the same thing every day, make the same foods, eat the same foods, and I like that control. I massively like that control. And that's probably not necessarily a healthy thing all the time, but I think as an athlete, if you want to be an athlete, there has to be like some things that you don't change. There has to be like a few variables, and if there are too many variables, like if you're going out to eat with your friends like 3 nights a week, and like just going out for a drink on a Friday, like after work, and skipping just like your accessory work, like maybe once or twice a week, like that's not going to help you be the best athlete. But again, that all comes back to what are your goals? Like, what do you want to achieve? Because everyone's different. And I think it's important to have that balance, definitely. But again, I've completely come off the question you were asking me. You said what to do, 90 minutes of
That's all right. That's cool. Is there anything you do on a daily basis, or actually in like as you get into the gym, is there any kind of routines or habits or anything like that?
So my warm-ups are pretty similar every day. So I always do like every day I either do like a 2k row, a 2k run, or like 50 burpees. Like yesterday I did like 50 bar facing burpees for my warm-up. So I'll literally like get into the gym, put my bags down. I'm wearing trackies, so it's fucking cold at the moment, so take my trackies off, and then like literally get on my warm-up straight away, because my warm-ups are always something I don't need to stretch before that. Like just get down and get it done. And then I've got like what we call like activation work, so that's gonna like get my body prepared for whatever I'm doing that day, and that will probably take like another 20 minutes, half an hour. And I really think that work has been like invaluable. In the sense of I'm quite lucky in the way my body moves. Like I've always been pretty mobile, and I've never had any restrictions in that sense. And I'm definitely not old, but as I'm getting older, like I was 19 when I started, so I could pretty much bounce back from anything like that. Yeah. And I have noticed within the last couple of years that is actually getting a little bit worse. So I have to be a little bit better with like my warm-ups and just moving my body and making sure I'm like supple, all my muscles are ready. So I think that activation work really has been invaluable. And that is something that I do every day. So that is definitely like a ritual. They change. They're not always the same, but it is always the same idea, and the same sort of time scale. So I'll do like a 10-minute getting my heart rate up, like my row, my run, or burpees or something like that. And then I'll do activation work. So that's like lunges, wall squats, like straight arm pull-ups, kettlebell, like straight arm press and stuff like that. So that's going to get me prepared for whatever lift I'm doing, or even if I'm not necessarily doing like a lift or anything, I'll always do those 2 bits of work. So I always do like my warm up and then my activation, and then accessory after I've done my full session.
Okay. There's one thing I'm always interested in is, do you use your phone when you're training?
This is something that literally drives me insane. So I really shouldn't, but I do. I don't sit on my phone and like text and be like chat to like people, but I do like definitely like in between lifts and stuff, like I'll sit and it's like mindlessly like scrolling down Instagram, and that's something that now I'm much more aware of, because I'm like, as soon as I'm doing it, I'm like, I shouldn't be fucking doing this. Why am I doing this? I'm not focused on what I'm doing. I'm focused on like watching someone fall over a box on Instagram. Like that's not going to help me do like perform my back squats better. So yeah, that's something that I definitely do, and I wish I didn't. But it's never, and it will always be in like the beginning or the end of my session, like never in the middle. Like my phone's away and gone.
Yeah.
In my bag. So I'd never be like in the middle of a really hard workout and then straight at the end like, ooh. That doesn't happen.
Because you're lying on the floor going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more important to get my breath back than look at my phone.
Sweet. Well, that's like, honestly, you've been an awesome podcast. You've touched on some real kind of knowledge bombs there and some good truth there as well in terms of mindset. And there's a few things that really correlate with what I teach. So that's awesome.
Cool.
And I'll let you get back to those kittens as well.
Oh my, I almost forgot about the kids.
Thank you for listening to what I think was a pretty damn good episode of the Alpha Movement podcast. If you enjoyed listening to Laura and I discuss mindset, there's plenty more episodes to come where we go through that. And I think the next episode to come out is going to be Jason Phillips, or I've got a little in-between episode with Tyler Stone as well from Massonomics. But Jason Phillips and I are going to talk about nutrition and habit formation and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, if you enjoyed this show, please do me a favor and subscribe to the show. I'm going to be bringing you a load more CrossFit athletes, coaches and great thinkers, and talk to you about mindset and why it's so important for you. And there's a little thing called intensity tolerance, which you may find on Amazon. If you search for my name, Tom Foxley, or the Alpha Movement, you should find a book called Intensity Tolerance alongside what was part 1 in the Mindset RX series, which was the impossible art of consistency. So you may understand that I'm kind of putting together this series at the moment of books, and I appreciate everyone who kind of buys one, downloads it, like leaves a 5-star review, a nice comment and a picture of them, and don't forget to tag me in those posts too. I shall see you soon when or speak to you soon probably, in another episode of the Alpha Movement podcast.